G-force, or gravitational force equivalent, focuses on mass, at least it does in theory. In practice it's classed as a form of acceleration, and its effects are well noted on accelerating objects, pushing them away from the initial acceleration. Take a jet fighter pilot, for instance. As he builds up more and more speed, the force pushing him backwards gets more and more brutal. The maximum amount of G-force a human body can withstand is plus or minus 9G. At 9G, you're experiencing a force 9 times that of Earth. You will suddenly feel as if your body weight has multiplied by 9. But that's not all that occurs at 9G. As the pilot reaches that point, the blood in his body flows to his feet. This triggers what is called a grayout, where all color fades from vision. It can also trigger a blackout, where all vision is lost. It's a different story if he reaches 9G while upside down. The blood in his body would flow to his brain instead, triggering a redout, where red is all he sees. The G-force experienced in an F5000 craft hasn't been properly documented, but it's not drastic enough to experience a grayout, blackout, or redout, but it's still enough to instill fear and bruise egos. Approach at your own risk.
Three, two, one.
I wasn't really sure what to expect going into this one. Yes, I was racing on an easy circuit, but I was using a ship with poor handling, and the AI tend to get quite dickish on higher speed classes and WipEout 64 sometimes. The check timer was only adding to the uncertainty. What the hell was that about? The re-entry around here usually tends to be alright. Just gently led that guy towards an ass-kicking. This started to look better than it did one lap ago. It was time to make it count. Not a great start, if I'm honest. That nudge saved me from getting left behind.
New lap record.
Setting lap records is usually the last thing on my mind. Cheeky horse's ass. It was at that moment that I knew using an autopilot while shocked isn't a good idea. While I knew that was coming, all I could do was wait for impact. I had to be vicious with the air brakes to stop that from going to shit.
Go fuck yourself.
That wanker waited for the right moment to give me a middle finger. That was a textbook knee-jerk move. I couldn't get close to third without getting shat on. Sound familiar?
Race complete.
Once I got out of that mess, the chase was on. Within seconds, this was looking bad. I was taking no shit from anybody. That's a unique kind of unlucky. Don't know why that didn't take me through the pit lane, but it wasn't that big of a deal this time. I'm surprised that guy wasn't eliminated with the beating he was taking. I almost felt bad for that guy. Following the beating from earlier, he was just holding on for dear life. I was blocked at the worst possible time. That fucking pissed me off. Just when I thought I had the upper hand. Should have saved that for something useful, but I didn't. Typical. Why did I ditch that thunderbomb? That would have helped here. Two opponents getting eliminated within an instant of one another is a very rare thing to see. Despite how rough this was getting, I kept going, hoping I'd get lucky. History repeating itself was making my blood boil all the more. As if things couldn't get any worse. That was nuclear-grade retardation. Getting blocked trying to use a turbo was becoming a running theme. Did you see how close that was? I got a taste of my own medicine. Fancy that. I just couldn't catch a break. I wasn't wrong about the AI being dickish, was I? I was starting to get fed up with this shit.
3, 2, 1, go.
Of all the things that could go wrong. I thought at least one twat would take advantage of that, but none did. Good fortune had found me. As mildly irritating as that was, it wasn't going to stop me. This guy was starting to get on my nerves. See previous statement. Entered the final lap in the best position I could have hoped for. Now I needed to make sure that this opportunity didn't go to waste. This was clearly going to be tougher than I thought.
One.
It didn't take long or much for a strong start to go south now, did it? Navigating through there at speed would be a bit easier if I could see where I was going. I really wasn't getting much time to relax. I can't put it into words how lucky that was. If I waited a fraction of a second longer, I would have been hit. Someone just had to be a jackass.
Replicant. Open your mind.
This guy was certainly testing my patience. I'm pretty sure I have quite the track record for making bad decisions.
Look around you.
I don't know how I managed to save this, but I did. Sadly, this little development eventually led to this. Almost straight away, this wasn't showing promise. A part of me was convinced I'd be able to take that guy out with a well-placed shot. "12 seconds into lap 2 and no sign of the rest of the pack. This made me a bit worried. Using a turbo on the ramp seemed like a good idea before I hit that wall. I really didn't need shit like this. I had too much to worry about already. How the hell did I miss that? That seemed like a sure thing. I always found it slightly funny that you can wind up going faster than the weapons you fire. Unfortunately, it can lead to shooting yourself in the foot type scenarios. Last lap and I had a lot of work to do. It was time to get serious.
Open your mind. The world has been broken. Open your mind. The world has been broken.
And just for good measure.
Three, two, one, go.
For me, it's always nice to catch a breather. Cheeky dickhead. I think you all knew I was going to do this and why I did it. I'll explain what this is once we see it in action. That was the Energy Sphere, Oricom super weapon in WipEout 64, and one of the more unique weapons in the game's arsenal. Firing it send a projectile from the front of your craft. Anyone within the sphere's path would suffer heavy damage. But there's more to it than that. To get the most out of this weapon, you need to hold down the fire button to charge the sphere, and you fire it by letting go of the fire button. You could release the sphere at any time. But as you'd expect from a weapon like this, it would be at its most lethal when fully charged. The firing method also gives you the opportunity to plan out your attack. I didn't really need to do that. That was just for fun. Good weapon, just a bad time.
One.
This seemed like a sure thing, so long as I didn't run into too much trouble. All of a sudden, my craft had the characteristics of a pinball. tried to get out of an annoying situation, wound up making things worse.
I was born to be free.
I can't BS my way out of that one. There always seemed to be something to stop me from putting my guard down. I don't really know what the thinking was there. That was a start, but I had to do more if I wanted to see some good results. Now I just had to pray there were no further problems. This now makes 11 races where I've used only 2 teams. There was clearly a favoritism thing going on. I don't know how I managed that. I was actually starting to use my brain a bit more. I knew there was no escape from that one. My hands were more or less tied in that situation. Entered lap 3 in first. I chose to stay on my guard in case I hit problems, but there wasn't much point. I was certainly glad to be using a team other than Oricom or Kyrex, I'll say that much. I had to pause for something, but I can't remember what it was. I'm gonna blame that one on the craft. You all know why. This just wasn't my race so far. Again, I had to pause for something. I thought I was clear of that. It looked like my luck was about to get a lot worse. I still had a fair bit of ground to cover. I was just hoping there wouldn't be further issues with my craft or the opposition. Clever bastard had me boxed in. I was fucked either way. If that missile didn't make me flinch, the rocket that followed definitely did. At this point, I was getting a bit bored of Easy Street. Yet another close call. I knew I wasn't going to have luck on my side again. Hearing Electro bolt over and over wasn't one of those worrying type of things. It was more like a oh for fuck's sake type of thing. He didn't put up much of a fight. Guess that was to be expected, though. This didn't bother me at all. This ship is hard to keep under control no matter what.
Three, two, one.
See previous statement about Easy Street. Don't ask me what that was about. Yet another situation where I thought I was screwed. Well, that quake gave me one less thing to worry about. I kind of wasn't expecting that.
Look around you.
Once again, I couldn't get lucky twice. With how crap my aiming was, I don't know how I managed to pull that off.
Open your mind.
I didn't see those until the last possible second.
Open your mind. The world was being broken.
The AI were definitely putting up a bit of a fight. It was making this more interesting.
Look around you.
There's a reason I dropped that. I never use weapons on the opposition in the last moments of a race. That's dickish.
Three, two, one.
It felt like ages since I was here last, even though it was 2 episodes ago. The time that goes into making these does show sometimes. How the hell did that happen? It didn't look like I hit that guy at all. I was only just managing to keep myself out of the danger zone, but I had bigger things on my mind than making sure I didn't run out of time. That was a little too close for my liking. Did you see that? That guy in front of me just vanished. I was forgetting how to get around the track as I was racing on it. You can't make this crap up. That's a new one for me. Never had that problem before.
Super weapon.
My luck was starting to take a turn for the worse. That's one way to get someone out of the way. I knew it was only a matter of time before this happened. This run did not fare any better. Guess I couldn't take two guys down with that. It really looked like I could. Right when things were starting to go semi-smoothly. That was a pretty strong first lap. Could I keep it up though? I'd taken quite the beating in a short space of time. My mood switched from determined to worried. It was pretty clear I needed to step things up if I wanted to get something out of this. This section is the best place to use a turbo on this track. Things were getting rough, but I was still climbing. In less than 10 seconds, I'd gone from 9th to 4th. That was all the motivation I needed. Autopilots have both saved my ass and put me in harm's way several times on this run. I had what I wanted, but I was hungry for more. I wanted to go all the way. I thought that electro bolt would set in motion a series of events that would lead to me failing. While I'm glad it didn't, I chose to stay alert in case something else did. While I couldn't go all the way, I was still happy with this result.
Three, two, one.
Not a good way to start things off. Did I just give that guy a nudge and shoot myself in the foot at the same time?
I was born to be free.
Right as I was losing hope on a strong first lap, I managed to bounce back. Now I needed to make it count. At some point I need to work on my aim. That will never not get on my nerves.
Go fuck yourself.
Well, that was gutsy.
Super weapon.
My impatience letting me down once again. One lap left, and this really wasn't looking good. I could already picture the outcome.
I was born to be free.
Just when I thought I had a clear enough chance. Close but no banana. Typical.
After quite the hiatus, I'm finally back in action. Sorry I haven't been around for a bit to do normal commentary. My busy life just got in the way. Well, that's a first lap that left a lot to be desired. Better someone else than me.
I was born to be free.
There's always one who just had to be a twat. Easily the worst re-entry situation I've ever been in. 2 laps in and I hadn't made much progress. As far as I'm aware, that's cause for concern. I wasn't prepared to put up with that shit. One lap to go and things looked bleak. Success seemed impossible, but I chose to fight on anyway. That was clever now, wasn't it? Had the means to get myself out of 8th, just needed to wait for the right moments.
I was born to be free.
If I was going down, I was going to go down fighting.
3, 2, 1, go.
That was the last thing I needed. At least that wasn't completely pointless.
Autopilot engaged. Missile.
For a few brief seconds, I feared the worst. I fucking hate it when that happens. Of course something just had to go wrong right as I started climbing. That brings back horrible memories. What the fuck is that?
I was born to be free.
It seemed like eliminating people was the only way I could progress without getting shat on. Oh, I was not pleased with this so far. This guy was pissing me off quickly. He's carrying on after that. Give that guy a medal. Seriously. This was showing no signs of improving and I hated it. Once again, I wasn't helping myself. That filled me with rage. That was a whole new type of cheeky. I don't want to talk about this and I'm not going to.
I was born to be free.
My luck just kept getting worse. I had the upper hand and I still managed to find some way to fuck it up. Not seeing the rest of the pack for a while was making me worried. Of all the things I could have gotten, well, that works, I guess. It always makes me laugh when someone else is the silly bastard.
I was born to be free.
At this stage, I couldn't tell if I had a good enough chance. Just had to cross my fingers, really. What a dick. You know the old saying, payback's a bitch.
Super weapon.
Despite my best efforts, I was worried this was going to end up the same way it always did. See previous statements. At least that twat got what he deserved. It was getting harder and harder to stay motivated. I was constantly getting my ass kicked, and I was starting to lose any hope of success.
I was born to be free.
At least I was able to do something with that minigun. Only just managed to get that guy. If that's not luck, I don't know what is. It's like I wasn't allowed to advance before someone just had to be a tremendous cunt. I was angry, make no mistake about that, but I kept going in the hopes my persistence would eventually be rewarded. I was in no mood for any more shit.
I was born to be free.
Super weapon.
It now looked like I had a chance. I just had to keep at it and hope for the best. Well, this little development didn't make me happy. It was now or never. This was unexpected. I don't know how I did this, but I also didn't care. I had a really bad feeling about this. At least there were two upsides. I was using a nimble ship, and I was racing on rapier. Last thing I wanted was any persistence. In autopilots we trust. I flew straight into those. I can't defend that. There was no way past them. I fucking hate when this happens. I could have made that. Okay, that's just adding insult to injury. That was close. Only just got out of there before things got ugly. Wasn't luck this time, it was just my aim. Given what things were like back there, I'm surprised I managed to get good results. I didn't like what I was hearing. I already had a lot to think about. Don't ask me what that was about. This looked doable. I just had to focus. I'm pretty sure I did that without thinking. Unless I could turn this around quickly, this wasn't going to be good. So damn close. But this result gave me a great deal of motivation. Not even 10 seconds in and I was hitting problems. Typical. It was already shaping up to be one of those types of races. With the irritants behind me, I could finally set off for the rest of the pack. Boxed in yet again. Why didn't I wait? Finally got that guy in the end. Good thing too, because he was starting to annoy me. Missed that guy by a whisker. If only I leaned slightly to the right. I couldn't have got that at a better time. There was always something to make sure I could not relax. At least there was no shortage of lifelines. Why did I think that would work? As tempting as it would have been to use that, I have my reasons not to. What goes around comes around, motherfucker. I now had to be seriously on it. I may have had third, but keeping it was going to be tough. That was stupidly fortunate. This went a lot better than I was expecting. I was very pleased.
Intermission. End of intermission.
Three, two, one.
It was so nice to finally catch a break.
Missile.
Two-thirds of the pack cleared with no effort at all. That's Vector for you. It's always great when I'm not the punching bag. So much for a nice stress-free cruise to the finish line.
Three, two, one.
I didn't have a problem with this. I tried 2 times to get past this guy. End up failing twice. A bit annoying, but I let it slide. I knew I'd get another chance. That makes 2 times the power snare did the square root of fuck all for me. I don't know if that was bad luck or stupidity. I didn't like how ugly this was starting to get.
Super weapon.
Took a bit of a beating, but I was still going. Despite the change in speed class, I was still in no mood for any shit. I like to think those mines made short work of that guy behind me. He fucked around and found out. I normally despise that. This was one of the few times it didn't bother me. There was still no complaints from me. The AG Systems 2097 chassis isn't as brittle as I once thought. This was one of those moments where I didn't feel like putting the effort in. I don't know how I missed that. That seemed accurate enough to me. Well played, you little bastard. Talk about an unwelcome kick in the nuts. This was getting irritating fast. Don't know why I dropped that. It could have been useful. If I wasn't pissed off before, I certainly was now. Nothing interesting or noteworthy happened on this race. Hadn't even started and I was fucking things up. Took me a while, but I eventually got this annoying pile of shit under control. Sort of. I was now starting to get my footing in this race. Whether or not that meant anything remained unknown. The slightest hit on a wall and I get twanged about. Can't tell you how much I fucking hate that. See what I mean with this shit? I was getting pissed off rather quickly. This was a problem I really didn't need.
Open your mind. The world has been left broken. Open your mind. The world has been left broken.
I don't really know what happened back there at the time, and I still don't know. All I know is it hampered my progress and made me mad.
Look around you.
My patience was really being tested in ways I couldn't begin to explain. Given what things have been like so far, I didn't feel confident about the outcome. Being the opposition's punching bag was making things worse. I clearly hadn't learned from my mistakes. By this stage, I'd abandoned all hope. Don't really know what I could have done there. Right as I started bouncing back, something just had to go wrong. If you get on my bad side, I'll make you regret it. I hated everything about this race.
Look around you.
That certainly made up for the messy start of the last attempt. Kinda. It didn't really take long for things to start falling apart. The problem, there was too much speed. I had to slow down at the apex of that jump to avoid that, which was clearly more difficult than expected. It went against my normal mindset of putting my foot hard down and getting ready to use the air brakes when things get dicey.
The world has been broken.
Certain irritants were still alive and well.
Look around you.
I started to look like I was getting the hang of things. At least that's what I thought. Right as it looked like a trend from the past was repeating itself, I saw something to set my sights on. I thought that technical section back there would have helped me avoid that. Something's always got to happen. That Vyncke set me up to get fucked. No matter what I did, no matter what I tried, no matter what I changed, the result never seemed to change. Getting stuck in annoying situations was getting to me a bit. I was having none of that. I couldn't go more than a few feet before something went wrong. I entered the last lap with a slight degree of confidence. This felt doable. I just needed to concentrate. That was really close to going horribly wrong. After that display, my blood began to boil. It was on the ropes now.
Open your mind. The world has been lifted.
I'd never felt tension like that before.
Open your mind. The world has been broken.
Congratulations, first place.
I like my chances. The best place to use a turbo here is on the final stretch, so there wasn't much point holding onto it. I don't know how I managed that. There was plenty of room to avoid those. And that's why I hate where the pit lane is on this track. If I couldn't turn this around soon, I was screwed. Once again, I didn't fancy playing bumper cars. I really thought that would have done a bit more for me. I wish they didn't remove the E-Pack. It saved my ass more times than I care to mention. That quake didn't do much for me either. Missed him by a whisker. That's annoying. It all boiled down to the final stretch. I was just crossing fingers at this point.
Three, two, one.
Out of all the songs I've used for the WipEout 2097/64 Gauntlet, this one is easily my favorite. Wanted to save this for the technical section further on, but I didn't have a choice.
I was born to be free.
This looked like it was going to be more annoying than I thought. My luck had changed in a frame of time short enough to proper shock me. That was certainly unexpected, but I'm glad it happened because that guy was starting to annoy me.
I was born to be free.
That was a really sloppy elimination. May have lost second, but it didn't bother me. I still got a result I was happy with.
Three, two, one.
If I could get in the top 3 racing here on Phantom using AG systems, then this would be a breeze. I beat the odds before, and I could do it again. Well, that took its time reaching me. Why the hell did I do that? So far, I couldn't tell if this was good or bad. That time, I thought I had a good shot on target. I knew this wouldn't be without its problems. By this stage, things look promising. Yet another situation where my hands were tied. I wasn't expecting that to work, but I'm so glad it did. I knew it was going to be hard to stay in third. All of that happened so fast I could barely process it. No one was taking this away from me.
Congratulations, third place.
had a very bad feeling about this one. Once I saw that, a bit of motivation came back. This wasn't going to go anywhere unless I found a way to bounce back. That guy behind me really couldn't take a hint. How the fuck did I miss that? I messed that landing right up, but somehow managed to stay in this. As surprising as that was, I chose to just run with it. My efforts had impressed me greatly, but I was worried it wouldn't be enough. Persistence from the opposition did little to dissuade my worries. I don't know how I mucked this up twice. The rest of the pack seemed to have vanished, causing me to lose confidence in the process.
That strong start didn't last very long, surprising no one. I thought that would have done a bit more for me. Being forced to play bumper cars wasn't irritating me at all. Now it made sense. I was turning back there when I didn't need to. Well, that did a whole lot of nothing. Now that was fucking stupid. What was it with me and making bad decisions? don't know why I was turning when I didn't need to. As if things weren't bad enough already. What a shocker, I wasn't learning from my mistakes either. This guy was pissing me off quickly. That was fucking close. Of course something goes wrong as I start climbing. Typical. In my head, this now looked doable. I just needed to give it my all and cross my fingers. I couldn't have timed that any better myself. I was having none of that shit. No hesitation whatsoever. It was now or never. This race wasn't interesting in any way whatsoever. I would have skipped this were it not for one little development. You'll see. For some reason I was really struggling to close the gap. That twat just slammed the door on me. So far it was one annoying thing after another. How many things must I be expected to avoid as though they are the plague? I got door slammed again. Something really wasn't right here. Stop that before I had a chance to continue. The AI being more annoying than usual was baffling me. I normally expect that from Rapier or Phantom, not Vector. My last garderobe visit was the warm-up. Now it was time to get serious. It's a good thing I had a turbo. That could have been a lot worse. Despite a scratch or two, I was showing some superb control. I was steering my craft wasn't steering me. So far so good. I'd had a very strong first lap, just needed to keep it up. I didn't even see that guy's shields. I needed to be more on it with those mines. I should have moved to the left and deployed them straight away.
Open your mind. The world has been left broken. Open your mind.
I don't know how I managed to avoid all that incoming chaos, but I'm glad I was able to. Yet another quake that did fuck all for me.
Look around you.
Why did I get rid of that? That would have come in handy. Certainly not one of my best ideas. Things were beginning to look bleak. As you could very well imagine, I was getting desperate and reckless. Maybe all wasn't lost just yet. This was a problem I really didn't need. Was there any need for that? What goes around comes around, shitbag. Oh, I can't tell you how pissed off that made me. A stalled start was the last thing I needed.
around you.
Good comeback with the autopilot. Ship follow-up with those rockets. I managed to get myself back in this. Now I needed to make sure that my efforts weren't for nothing.
The world has been left broken. Open your mind.
In less than 10 seconds, I'd been strangely fortunate 2 times.
Look around you.
I felt confident in my ability to get a win on this attempt, so long as there weren't any problems. Looking back at it, that wasn't smart at all. Once again, I didn't see the shield. If I did, I would have held fire. I had third, but I knew it was going to be tough to stay there. It was now time to go on defense. If that guy wasn't there, that would have been much worse. This was one of the few times where that really wasn't bothering me that much. As tempting as it would have been, I chose not to for moral reasons.
Look around you.
The perk wheel has indeed returned. For those of you just joining us, the perk wheel was created to provide second chances during the WipEout Gauntlet. Once the fail cap was reached, one spin was allowed for a chance to win a perk and hopefully turn a fail into a victory. But not everything on this wheel was a perk. Landing on the red would deduct 10 attempts, and landing on the white would gain you nothing. Both of those features have remained unchanged. It's the perks themselves that have been changed. More details will be shared in due time. Let's return to the action.
Ah, good old Vostok Island. Feels like it's been a while since I last came here. Not that I was missing it or anything. I thought I'd have enough air to hop over those. Clearly not. Oh, if only I had a little patience. Was getting a bit fed up with the whole having to dodge 10 mines in one area instead of 5 bullshits. Had to pause for something. I can't remember what it was though. Don't really know what my plan was here, or if I even had a plan at all. Entered the final lap in the best position possible. I could have just gone on defense, but I wanted to see if I could go all the way. Well, well, well. Looks like this last lap was about to get a lot more interesting. Classic neck and neck. Wow, the guy I snatched first from didn't seem to put up much of a fight. I confess myself slightly disappointed. Despite being on Vector, I didn't really know what to expect going into this one. In fairness, there's very few good spots to use rockets on Odessa Keys.
I was born to be
There was nothing I could do about that in this situation. At least that quake did something useful. really didn't like what I was hearing. Once again, I couldn't get lucky twice, surprising no one. With the most immediate threat now out of my way, I tried to relax and enjoy this nice little cruise to the finish.
Wanna be free.
Three, two, one.
This felt like it could only end one way. Badly. I'm sure those of you just joining us are probably thinking, won't the Peyruis stop that from happening? I forgot to mention that it's disabled in the last race in favor of A. Special reward if I win. So far, this wasn't looking good. I was starting to get really worried about this. I just couldn't catch a fucking break. Four laps later, I moved up 3 whole positions. That told me all I needed to know. I wasn't surprised by that at all. This guy was just a horrendous twat. Was getting real tired of constantly having to deal with this guy. I've only got myself to blame this time. What a pathetic display. This run wasn't any better, and it was about to get a whole lot worse.
3, 2, 1,
This one in particular was quite the ordeal, but I came away from it with something I could be happy with. I'd managed to make one hell of a leap and shoot past the first milestone, and part of me is hoping things will get slightly easier, crossing fingers at least. Thanks for coming by and watching episode 3 of the WipEout 2097/64 Gauntlet. I hope it was worth the wait. This episode was so involved I had to split it in half and merge it at the end. Hopefully that explains the wait. If an episode becomes too involved in the future, I will say something and give you guys a rough idea what to expect before I start putting the episode together. Outside of that, there's nothing else that needs to be said. Thanks again for watching. Hope you're enjoying the journey, and I hope to see you again very soon. Goodbye for now.